We've got a message now from Lakshmanan Chidambaram, better known as CTL. I'm going to call him CTL from the rest of this intro. CTL is the president of Tech Mahindra Americas. He works with executives across industries to drive multi-year major transformational initiatives forward. His unique perspective provides the basis for his talk. It's really a survey on the industry and how the COVID crisis may have helped drive healthy change for an industry known as being laggard in CX. So let's hear from CTL.
We're living in unprecedented times. The enemy is invisible and amongst us. Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank, did not mince words when she said at the Wall Street Journal CEO conference last week that the future looked uneven, uncertain, and unpredictable. Many countries are now experiencing a third wave of COVID-19, and it looks like a vaccine will not be found till the end of next year. However, I believe that every cloud has a silver lining, and this will lead to perhaps a more sustainable life choice. Financial institutions can be the drivers of this change. Various researchers have shown that COVID has had a larger impact on our community. Actually, the affected community are the lower income people, and hence financial institutions in all forms will be central to our recovery. Today, I would like to touch upon topics, some of which are explored more deeply through today's session. This includes the accelerated transformation that the financial services industry is experiencing, the increasing relevance of design for the industry, the exciting and critical role that technology plays in realizing the business vision and design objectives. Finally, how design and financial services can influence and shape public policy to drive better societal outcomes is key. The banking, financial services, and insurance industry, unlike the last crisis, is not under direct attack. Thankfully, over the years, financial services companies are in a much better shape to survive adversity and are investing in innovations around customer experience. The impact on insurance has been mixed, and insurers have started to respond to addressing the near-term impact from the crisis, as well as think about the longer-term consequences to their business from what has happened in the last few months. There is an increased expectation for financial institutions to play a positive societal role that goes much beyond shareholder return. As near-term quarterly earnings are released, financial institutions' earnings and societal impacts will be scrutinized by consumers and regulators for their response to the crisis and their contributions during this crisis. The evolution towards direct sales, self-service, digital advisory, and digital payments has been accelerated and will persist past the times where societal distancing has necessitated increased digital adoption. Even customers who were reluctant to adopt digital interactions have done so out of necessity. My grandmother has gotten now more comfortable with using these new methods. And that's the change that we're seeing. The current crisis offers the financial services industry an opportunity to continue to invest in customer experience transformation and expanding the functionality and efficiency of their digital platforms in the short and long term. Financial institutions will continue to be under stress owing to, number one, low interest rate, number two, potential credit challenges, number three, startups taking market share from their profitable businesses, and number four, the addition of more regulations. Companies need to become accustomed to frugal innovation, and innovating around customer experience will continue to be a priority. And it will also deliver a good return on investment. The banking, financial services, and insurance industry should also be more open to taking on ideas from other industries, co-innovating with fintech and big tech players, which over time should contribute to better outcomes for the financial institutions. Recently, we've seen Citi strike a partnership with Google to open consumer checking accounts, and Apple is partnering with Goldman Sachs to launch its new credit card with a reimagined consumer experience. Well, the traditional card providers will have to watch out. Tesla plans on harnessing the data derived from their cars to revolutionize the electric vehicle insurance market, and it started providing its own insurance in the state of California. These are seismic changes, and property and casualty insurers must pay a very close attention to. User experience and human-centered design is taking center stage, both for end customer-facing functions as well as for internal operations and staff, which has long been neglected. Human-centric design can help align products and services to customer needs and make it more relevant to their customers. At the same time, an empathy-oriented approach can also be used to improve the back office platforms for employees, making them more productive and well-informed while interacting and servicing customers or while performing administrative tasks. A leading Canadian bank launched a product called eHome. The goal was to enable prospective customers to say get a $1 million mortgage sitting in their porch without ever having to visit a branch. Can you believe it? The first step in this process was for behavior change agents to sit down with prospective customers and understand their needs. An overwhelming 95% said that they would prefer an online model. eHome is now launched. It's hosted on the cloud, but has 20 different legacy integrations, including one with a fintech that does 20 different fraud checks. Today, it takes a customer 30 minutes to fill an application form, and 4 days is all it takes from application filling to fund disbursement. An industry that's getting massively disrupted. Today, organizations are working with the likes of Matt Powell to identify unmet needs of next generation of consumers and their changing behaviors, understand their customer journeys, ideate around reducing customer pain points, and finding new opportunity spaces to improve customers' end outcomes. As an example, we recently worked with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to help military recruits achieve higher financial literacy and well-being. For many recruits, the US Armed Forces enlistment is the first steady salary and paired with significant delay before service training starts. These young recruits, not experienced in money management, can fall victim to unwise and predatory financial practices. Matt Powell built awareness around common predatory and unfair lending practices and coached the recruits on how to make better consumer choices and help improve their financial literacy. Design, data, and technology in combination are solving problems and creating 360-degree views and also crafting personalized offers. Adoption of cloud, machine learning, and robotic process automation is helping improve operational efficiencies and cut costs in significant manner. Emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, AR, VR, and the high speed that a 5G network provides, it's created exciting opportunities to reimagine both the physical and digital experience for customers. It opens possibilities of virtual advisory, conversational ATMs, banking on wearable devices, AR, VR-based trading, protecting insured assets, and so on. A well-known example in the insurance sector is Hippo, yes, the animal, and InsurTech, which used research and technology innovation to transform customer experience in the home insurance space. Using research, Hippo gained deep understanding of the homeowner's needs and then used those insights to offer a complementary smart home technology kit to enable homeowners protect their home as well as provide incentives in the form of policy discounts to use the kit. A completely new way of looking at traditional business and revamping it. As online channels get strengthened further, there will be diminished relevance on branch for traditional services. The branch of the future will be very different than today. And there'll be a need to reimagine and retool the retail branch through convergence of physical and the digital experience. The experience will be touchless, biometric, recognition, and speaking ATMs will be the norm. The branches will have smarter technology, and there will be a role reinvention of employees into remote customer service personnel who could also serve as financial coaches. Banks will increasingly rely on pop-up models to spin a branch on the fly, where there is a prevalent need for a finite period of time. Examples being pop-up locations in college town during start of a college season, or a high traffic event in a mall or a stadium. I would now like to spend a few minutes to talk about the opportunity for financial institutions to adapt to our changing society, as well as in creating a wider social impact. We are at a time where social value systems are getting redefined by the new generation of millennials, Gen Y and Gen Z. Rapid growth of ESG, environmental, social, governance, investment themes, and products. As the new generation starts to save and invest more, the need for wealth and asset managers to be able to design products that offer these choices will see significant focus. Lemonade, an insurance unicorn, which recently went public on the New York Stock Exchange during COVID, is another wonderful example of a company whose business model includes a social purpose. It contributes part of its underwriting profits to charity of the customer's choice through an annual event called Give Back, which has become extremely popular. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they provided additional choices to customers to reallocate their unused premiums to help buy critical medical supplies for health workers on the front lines. A hugely impactful move and a hugely game-changing move. Another emerging area in the field of finance and public policy is the ability to ensure financial aid reaches the intended recipients without leakages to middlemen. In some developing countries, almost 30% of the money subsidy is lost and taken away by middlemen. Technology like digital wallets combined with the power of blockchain, which brings in both security and traceability, offer powerful options to enable this and to make the world a better place. As we all see, change, and that too at an unprecedented rate, is the core of our discussions today. Some very fundamental choices, habits, behaviors, and beliefs are changing among our customers and society in general. This will warrant businesses, including BFSI organizations, to gain insights into these behavioral changes and tailor their products and customer experiences accordingly, both in the physical and the digital worlds. Netflix and Blockbuster example is well known. But Netflix has been continuously evolving, and that's the key point, through constant innovation. It started as a mail-in DVD company, then evolved into the first ever online streaming company, and now has evolved into a powerful Hollywood studio, producing original content, and is one of the most awarded in its category by the entertainment industry. Who would have imagined this, 10 years ago? Financial organizations, some of whom are rooted in decades or even over a century of tradition, will need to re-examine their core values to thrive in the centuries to come. Critical organizations have the courage to drive change in their internal policies, procedures, structures, all aimed at continuously evolving the organization and getting it to meet the needs of customers in the future. The BFSI companies of the future will not only be the business stalwarts with strong balance sheet, they'll also need to be thought of as true pillars of the community, central to our recovery and growth. It's just not about our profits. It is about going after a cause that's just much more beyond us. I look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
CTL, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Appreciate your talk there. Hey, we have a few questions. I'd love for you just to answer a couple more questions here, filtering in from folks, if you don't mind.
Wow.
You ready? All right, good.
Ready, Mike.
Let's do it. So I know, in your position, you interface with, a lot of the CEO and COO class, really across industries, from banking to insurance and beyond. How would you characterize their mindsets here? Roughly, let's call it 8 months into the pandemic. Where's their heads at? How would you characterize the mindset of the average CEO out there?
Mike, as this pandemic started, 5-6 months ago, the first was panic. Right? Nobody had ever seen this kind of a thing before, and no one could predict how this would pan out. Now, 8 months down the line, it's no better in the sense that still we know that there's the third wave of the virus hitting. We know that a vaccine, will take a year probably. But knowing all this has sort of given a sense of confidence, at least knowing, where we are today, number one.
Sure.
And the hospital systems are better equipped, and so on and so forth. So that's the good part. What CEOs are now seeing is, they're pleasantly surprised with how, the digital technologies were already, kind of making their inroads, but suddenly they've, taken wings and flown, right? And so CEOs have been surprised with how, a majority of their workforce, or in some cases, all their workforce could work seamlessly from home, number one. Number two, they've seen that productivity is even better, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is, in my business, like you said, I touch a variety of verticals across the Americas. And what I'm seeing is, one, there is a clear need to cut costs. Everyone wants to be conservative, cut costs. The second is they're taking bold decisions, which they were not taking earlier. Like, for example, why am I sitting with huge data centers? Let me get out of it and move as much to the cloud as possible. Let me leverage software as much as possible, right? And so the third thing, if you take manufacturing, and everyone has to learn from each other. In manufacturing, you'd be surprised to see the number of US corporations that are completely dependent on China. 98% dependent on China for their manufacture. So they're taking decisions to move. And China will still continue to play a big role. They're very well established in this space. But even if people move 5%, 8%, it's still a sizable thing. And so they're moving all that outside. And so those decisions are all getting taken. So from the time when they were just like, light in a deer's eye, things have started moving. And what I am seeing is that business has started now going up from our perspective. We are executing projects, automation projects. We are ensuring that artificial intelligence is, seeps into everything that we do. We are talking about self-healing software, that we are introducing in so that systems become more robust. And of all things, people are realizing finally that their focus on their end customers is very important. They all realize that this is the time when the wheat will get separated from the chaff. And so they are focusing on transforming customer experience and ensuring that they hold on to the loyalty of their customers. So, I've generally seen that the mood is still cautious, but they've said, we're not going to keep standing. Let's start moving. And that's the positive thing for all of us.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot there, but I think what resonates with me is this concept that companies are surprising themselves at their own adaptability. So through this, they've had no choice but to figure out a way, and whether that be with their employees and working remotely, or distributing their products or services a different way. I think they've all surprised themselves in some ways, and now maybe as we move through this era, I'm hoping some of that sticks and some of that innovation and adaptability and just overall that spirit and mindset persists, because I think those are the best companies that are able to kind of adapt and change. And there's so many examples of that over time. So that's definitely, and I liked the phrase self-healing software. I always pick up on something. That's an interesting concept. I hadn't seen that, but yeah, it's that's great. Another question here. How have you may have touched on this a little bit, because I know you talked about a number of priorities here, but maybe how have financial services companies' priorities shifted or changed significantly as a result of this pandemic? Anything unique to that industry? You talked about data centers and moving to the cloud and things that were maybe more broad, and some of the manufacturing moving, from being totally based in China. Anything financial services related that's worth sharing that you're seeing?
Of course, and financial services, has coped up reasonably well. Obviously, the first focus was on safety and business continuity, and after that, the banks and financial institutions have started looking at liquidity because of this closure with small businesses. Their bad debts are looming on their balance sheet, and they're now focusing on how to conserve cash so that they can emerge out of this crisis successfully. And from an insurance perspective, it's kind of been a mixed bag. Workers' comp, travel insurance, have been impacted, while property casualty and life insurance are very robust. Claims and payouts have reduced in the auto space, and
Yes.
with the banking and financial services, trading, mortgages, mergers and acquisitions, they've all
Right.
done well. But at the bottom line is, people are now waking up and increasing their digital spend, right? Both to drive costs down and to stay connected to their customers, right? Primary areas of spend again are in cloud, in cybersecurity, in data and analytics, in robotic process automation, and all these technologies are involved when you're reimagining, let's say, a bank branch for the future.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great point, and I think back to your earlier point as well. I think and we're excited about the fact that customer experience design and strategies have never been more important through all of this reimagining. So, well, CTL, thank you so much. I know you're so busy, so I'm really appreciative that you're able to spend some time with us here today. I hope you can hang out a little bit more, perhaps, and meet some colleagues and folks that are here at the event. But I just want to thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
I would love to. And Matt Pow has shown how resilient you are by adapting this conference and making this whole experience seamless. So congratulations to you, Amy, Will, and a great team at Matt Pow. And thank you. I enjoyed myself.
Awesome. Thanks again, CTL.